we'll stay with the news update that is now coming of this reported crash that is being also talked of an AN-32 transport aircraft of the Indian Air Force that has met with an accident at the Jorhat Air Force station in Assam. This was a military aircraft that crashed at the Air Force station during an attempted landing. Now, the aircraft then involved an AN-32 cargo plane that is used for transporting supplies, and those are the first pictures that are now coming in from the accident site. Now, what is being said that the accident occurred while the attempted landing was being done on part of the aircraft, and there are fears. However, we will not speculate till the time that we have immediate clarification and a statement from the Indian Air Force. But first pictures are also coming in from the side. There you can see is a huge plane, and this further details that are awaited as far as the rescue and the investigation efforts that continue at the site. So this crashed, and subsequently that what is being said, there was an explosion that was also reported. This is an Antonov AN-32 military transport aircraft that crashed after landing. Let's connect with Mayank on this. Mayank, pictures that are now coming in. Immediately we're looking at emergency services, and this has happened at the Air Force station as well, which had triggered an alarm. And of course, when it comes to the entire surrounding areas, the rescue work has immediately begun.
Amita, it has been admitted and officially been accepted by the Air Force that this aircraft, which is AN-32, Antonov 32, which was approaching back to the Jorhat Airport, it had an impact on ground and it has met an accident. But as of now, no more details have been shared with us. And mind it, it is a workhorse of the Indian Air Force, and more than 100 aircrafts of such type, and making it's a Russian origin aircraft.
We'll just talk about that in just a bit because the Air Force personnel there we can see in the pictures rushing to the spot immediately following the incident. But the extent of the damage to the aircraft and possible casualties is something that officially remains to be confirmed. Shreya is also connected with us. Shreya, the pictures that are now coming in, the first there from the location where this reported crash has taken place.
Amita, I can tell you this. Look, the pictures, and I've been seeing them for the last couple of minutes. I've been speaking to some Air Force officials as well. While we'll still await an official word from the Indian Air Force on the number of casualties and fatalities, but this is not looking good. Mayank and I have seen pictures like this over the years covering the defense beat. And when we see pictures like this, our experience tells us that this is not good. This is not looking good. Point is, this is, yes, a transport plane, but a transport plane typically will have at least 4 to 5 crew members. So we are not just looking at, at the status of the pilot here. We are also looking at the status of what has happened to the crew members. Were there other people, other service personnel on board as well? Now, these are questions that will be answered eventually. For the moment, what the Air Force is officially telling us is that there has been an accident. They have not officially called it a crash. They are saying there has been an accident at the Jorhat Airport. And then, of course, these pictures, Amita, that we are looking at tell us that, by the end of the day, there will be no good news to report.
Yes, but it's a huge aircraft. I mean, looking at the pictures as well, and it's a medium tactical transport aircraft that is used by the Indian Air Force. And as Mayank was also reporting, Shreya, that it was on its way back to the Air Force stations. And pictures, as you said, we are looking at this huge plume of smoke suggesting that there was an explosion post-impact.
That is right, which is why the status of the aircraft, the state of the aircraft is what you're seeing on your screens. It is post the explosion that you're seeing the plane. It's completely mangled actually. So for survivors, it's a bit tough to say right now. We'll wait for an official word, but as I said, this is not looking very good. In fact, the fact is that this particular cargo plane, the make has had a checkered safety history. In fact, last time I remember an AN-32 crashing was in 2016. It was on its way to Tambaram, I think to Port Blair, if I'm not mistaken, over the Bay of Bengal. It suddenly loses signal, and there were 29 people on board. It crashed over there, and that is the last time we remember, this particular cargo plane being involved in a crash or an accident. This is so this is the second in 10 years, actually. Again, waiting for more information to come in. Look, at this point of time, I can tell you what the Indian Air Force is doing. First, of course, is to try and see if there are survivors. If there are any survivors, you pull them out.
Yes.
And even the operation of rescuing them, as you can imagine, Amita, from the mangled mess that you're seeing on your screen, is an extremely sensitive one. It requires a high degree of specialization. So that will be attempted. If there are any fatalities to be declared, that will happen only later, because the SOP is that first the next of kin are told before, letting the media or the world know.
Yes.
And that's simply because, if you've lost someone in a crash like this, or any other crash for that matter, the family should not get to know from a television screen.
Yes.
So that procedure and that protocol will be followed, which is why all we have from the Indian Air Force is a short, cryptic, 3-line message that has been sent to all of us and put on their Twitter handle as well.
Absolutely, because we won't be speculating anything beyond that till the time that we actually get a confirmation and a statement officially released on part of the Indian Air Force. Shreya, thank you very much for joining in. The pictures that are coming in, Meenakshi, does not look good. Firefighting operations underway.
You are right, Amita. The pictures obviously are giving a grim picture. Let's take a look at what we have at the moment now. Those are the visuals, obviously, Shreya was also talking about. When we look at these visuals, if you could just zoom in and show you these visuals, obviously it doesn't look like that there is any sort of silver lining here. Again, sources, reports saying that the pilot reportedly is feared that you can see the wreckage and obviously the plume of smoke, that black smoke, thick black smoke going up in the sky. Obviously, the latest visuals coming in, the IAF transporter, the plane going down. Now, IAF, as we know, has issued a statement saying and calling it an accident, saying that this happened, at that airport during, the landing ops. Here you can see, a part of that plane down. Look at this wreckage, that mangled mess. Obviously, the visuals extremely tragic, extremely disturbing. These are the visuals which are coming in, to the front at the moment of the IAF plane crash. We have been able to access some of these visuals. You can see, the IAF personnel also there, how the rescue operations at the moment also are underway.
Absolutely. And pictures that are now coming in from the site where the rescue operations and firefighting operations are underway, Mayank, because when we speak of the Antonov AN-32 aircraft, well, they serve as the workhorse of the transport fleet. So when we talk about the aging fleet, I mean, how, bad does it look like as far as these pictures that are coming in? Because they need that kind of upgrades, and it has been delivering critical supplies to the army, especially when it comes to the far-off remote outposts. So what does it speak of?
These are very important tactical aircrafts, as you have already brought out, Amita. But then the kind of pictures we are seeing, we need to wait and still hear of the things, because not only the crew members, as Shreya had pointed out, we have to also understand what kind of load was on board, and that has to be understood. But the kind of wreckage we see, we'll have to wait and still for the official things which come out from the Air Force. But having said that, these aircrafts have been serving the Indian Air Force since quite long, and as we have already been using term workhorse, almost 100 to 110 aircrafts they fly in the Indian Air Force, and they were undergoing upgrades, and almost half of them, which is almost 50 to 60, have been already upgraded. So we'll have to also understand whether this was the upgraded version of AN-32 Antonov 32, or rather one of the one which was supposed to be undergoing an upgrade, Amita. But these have been serving in the remote areas, something like Arunachal Pradesh, to even towards spend the larger portion of Ladakh and Kashmir. So and see, these are tactical transport aircrafts which can carry between 5 to 7 tons of payload or on board. So you can understand, and see, for them it is important because of being smaller and turboprop, which is twin engine, it was considered to be safe. But then with the aging fleet, the upgrade was must and important. So as I was saying, that we need to wait and hear from the people of the details, whether this was an upgraded one or whether it was waiting for upgradation, and this accident has taken place, Amita.
Yes, because Mayank, as far as this plane is concerned, it is designed in such a way that it can even withstand adverse weather conditions. And, looking at the pictures there that are coming in, we don't know if it was a technical issue, what happened during landing, because pictures that have been suggesting, was it inclement weather, because the skies are also overcast. I mean, it looks that it is about to rain. So what could have added to the crash is something that, of course, we are awaiting details, but there could be multiple factors involved.
Amita, it's very dicey because we have been, as defense correspondents, flying into these areas. It's really very dicey. And often it happens that skies get overcast in a jiffy. But that is, the clouds might surround the area. The visibility might become difficult. The wind factor might come in, which is high velocity wind might start blowing. That also creates problem. But in this case, what we have to wait and watch is actually how this accident took place, because court of inquiry is something which is launched immediately to find out the reasons behind such kind of an accident or event which takes place. It is as SOP, standard operating procedure, Amita. So once we have the kind of pictures we are seeing on screen, it really, as of now, painting a bad picture. But then let us still wait, because court of inquiry is something which will bring out the details as to what has happened, what was there, the factors, the various measures which need to be taken further, Amita. But then let us wait to hear for further news, to wait for the Air Force to come out.
Pictures aren't looking good, but immediately, at least the crash that has happened at the Air Force station, so that prompted immediate rescue operations. We'll see if they have managed to pull out or to retrieve the pilot. They said to be around 5 crew members can board this plane. But when it comes to the checkered past, I'm just looking at the history. I mean, where all AN-32 transport aircrafts that are deployed not just in India but in other countries as well. And the page is seemingly full of such incidents that have been reported in the past. I mean, for India as well, when we take a look at the Indian Air Force, in 2019, we are looking at the Indian Air Force AN-32 Mayank that went missing near Arunachal Pradesh. And that happened then again back in July 2016, from traveling from Chennai to Port Blair, and missing over the Bay of Bengal with nearly 29 people on board. So this actually raises a lot of concern as far as aged fleet within the Indian Air Force.
Indian Air Force follows a standard, which it means that only once they find any kind of aircraft which is fly-worthy. So unless it is given a go-ahead, they don't fly any aircraft because they follow a very stringent standard to that extent. But having said that, the kind of Indian Armed Forces, in this case, I would like to bring all the 3 forces together, that they make do with whatever they have, and they employ whatever equipment they have to the best of it, actually. So we can understand that unless the engineers would have given a go-ahead after an inspection, because the crew members also go for an inspection before a flight takes off. They do a physical checkup and a visual checkup also. They find, before that, engineers, they go and look for the things, and they carry out a sort of a checkup before a go-ahead is given and pilot is called for to take charge of the aircraft. So this is how the standard is for operating procedure is as far as the Air Force is concerned. In this case, unless a go-ahead would have been given, there's no chance that flight would take off. But what we heard from the Air Force or from the people on ground, that it was approaching to the base. And this is within the periphery of the air base there at Jorhat. But as you, Amita, pointed out, it was really nice in the sense that a quick operation was launched to rescue the members there. So let's wait for some good news also. Having the kind of visual pictures we can see, we can surmise that yes, things doesn't look really good, but let's hope that things turn out better.
Yes, because that is something that we are clinging on, Mayank. But can you just tell us a little bit of a specifications as far as the aircraft, transport aircraft is concerned? It's a medium transport aircraft. The capacity, it is used for heavy lift category. I mean, coming into 18 to 30 ton category, and the procurement that has happened with the Indian Air Force, of course, the upgrades that are also happening simultaneously. But as you said, there are 100 of them that are, as part of the Indian Air Force fleet.
These are twin engine, Amita, and there's a term used as turboprop, which is fins are there to push the air back, and so that's the kind of flight operation they does. But then, having served for Indian Army, Indian Air Force since almost 40 years, these aircrafts have become a sort of a mainstay as far as tactical transport is concerned, because almost 40 to 50 passengers can sit into it with a payload or onboard load can be from between 5 to 7 tons in this case, because it comes under the smaller medium, not exactly medium lift, but the smaller tactical medium transport aircraft. And there are various versions, as we had been talking about. There are various versions of transport aircraft within which is heavy lift is above 15, 16 tons and 20 tons,
Yes.
Amita.
Yes.
This is an aircraft, as I was pointing out, it is undergoing a major overhauling, Amita.
Yes, so we are awaiting a final statement to come in from, of course, there are due protocols that are need to be followed on part of the Indian Air Force, so we'll wait for that. But pictures that are now coming in from the site, rescue operations underway. There could be multiple factors, but till the time we'll wait for an official confirmation, a statement that is expected from the Indian Air Force. We're going to stay with those pictures there, and Mayank also stays with us. We head into a short break for now.